Hello, and welcome to another exciting playoffs edition of Bodied, a Cloud9 Fancast. I'm your host, havokpus. As always, my co-pilot, my co-host, frozencreek. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's Wednesday, August 21st, which means we are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days from finals. 3 days from my first day in 2 days technically, but 3 days from my first day in Detroit for LCS. So I'm really hyped. We have a lot of Cloud9 news, but we're gonna try and get through it because I want to talk about Detroit and
Yes.
welcoming all of our Midwest friends.
Yes, Frozen's chomping at the bit to talk about all things Detroit and League of Legends playoffs related. So we're going to get through some quick results first, and then we'll talk about League of Legends for most of it. So a few quick things first. Rocket League was at the Rocket League Summit. I think kind of like the CSGO Summit event that they have every year. This was the first time that they were having a sort of a Rocket League one, and the team played fairly well. They narrowly lost to Dignitas in the losers semifinals. So they lost 3-4. So they got kicked out of the tournament after that. And they came in top 4. Not the worst result. Rocket League is usually a top 4 team. So it's a pretty respectable finish, and I'm glad that they were able to at least get top 4. Moving on to Fortnite. We have 2 players, Dracons and Blackouts. At least I am hoping that's how you say their names. They are Brazilian players of ours, and they played in the Championship Series, the open week for the Championship Series in South America, and they placed in the top spots. I believe Dracons maybe got first place. So that's really good, at least from a Fortnite perspective. At least regionally, if our players are placing in the top spots for the whole of South America, or however many there were in South America competing in this thing, that's pretty good for its opening week. I'm hoping that they can continue and do that again. But moving on to somewhat more of a discussion, but hopefully not too long. We're going to talk about the London Spitfire and how they closed out the regular season, because they played against the Atlanta Reign, and Frozen, you would think, playing only having to play against one team in their final week, they would just focus on playing against this team. They played like garbage, and they got 0-4'd. And as the defending champions, not a good look going into playoffs. Would you agree?
No, it is not a good look at all. All things considered, they got their ass beat by a team that really isn't doing all that well. Though they are sitting at the boundary of playoffs, but it's still not a good luck for the former champions of the league. So
yeah, and just everyone's just playing off. Prophet is playing off, which is odd. Fury is struggling, as well as your usual suspects of Gesture and Birdring and Bedosin, and we're still starting Quartermain, which makes no sense considering I think Nuss is a much better support player and much more active than Quartermain. We're just putting this sort of passive healer in, whereas Nuss is a bit more active, unless it's a shot calling thing. I just don't know, but it's just odd that they're performing so poorly, especially in a meta that is not exactly the same, but somewhat similar to how the finals, in the playoffs were. So it's just really odd that they're struggling this much. I've actually seen rumors that the team is actually just uncoachable, that they just cannot, in their current form and their current iteration, they just cannot be coached. No coach can come in and help them improve on communication and sort of game sense and anything that would help them improve their play, which I think is actually phenomenal and sad.
Yeah, you would think that the team that was reigning champions of last year would be somewhat of a coachable team, but maybe they just got by off raw talent, because obviously this team is very talented, but something's working for them right now.
Honestly, if you watch how London plays, that's definitely how they get by on their wins. And you can definitely go back to the first season and see that for sure. If everyone individually is playing well, the team looks great. But if everyone individually is playing poor, they don't, because the team doesn't really seem to act as a unit. There's no cohesion going on between the DPS and the tanks and the healers. Everyone's just kind of running around, doing whatever they think is best, and then just hoping it all works out and everyone just pops off and has a good time.
Yeah, and hopefully they're at least having fun playing average, because the results are definitely not there.
Exactly, and we see this like in the first, the majority of this season too, since Goats was the dominant meta. Goats required a lot of cohesion, a lot of coordination between all of your moving parts. London played abysmally this season because we had no cohesion. So I think that you can really tell that we have a lot of players that like to play individually, but not as a unit. I think going into next season, which there has been a schedule, by the way, for any fans that want to look, there are a lot of home games. There are a few home games.
Yeah, which is sweet that it's out already.
Yeah, and they have a couple Homestead games too. 2 in March. It's like a weekend in March and then a weekend in like June or July. Which I think is super dope that they're able to get Homestead dates.
Yeah.
But
have they announced where the games are taking place at yet?
No, they haven't listed like a specific venue. I would assume it's similar to when the Grand Gala event took place. If you remember that was in between season 1 and 2, kind of during the off season. I would assume it would be a similar esports type arena or some venue close by. I know it's in London. I don't know specifically where in London.
Yeah, I know some people were talking about maybe them playing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Not like in like the actual
right, not the actual
pitch,
like football
but, like,
stadium.
Some thing like based in the stadium, but it's not like the actual
right.
Which would be sweet because that just opened not even a year ago. So
yeah, I know they had some dealings in the works with like I think like Red Eye Media or something. Or
yeah, they have something in mind, I'm sure.
They have something. They have some partnership that they've been working on for local stuff, and I'm sure that once they do get to do a bunch of home games and everything, we will see more of that. But yeah, just going into the third season, no matter where Spitfire places in playoffs, I think they got to make some drastic changes because how they're operating currently is not working. I think you got to make some serious cuts. I think at the very least preserve Prophet and Fury because they are so talented. But I think everyone is just fair game. Jester, I think you can get someone better. I think you can get someone more consistent Bird Ring. Even our subs like Garden Krillin. Krillin is fairly rough around the edges. You could maybe replace him for Bediousin, but I'm not sure if he's ready. Guard was actually just such a lackluster pick for us. And especially as someone who is supposed to be our Sombra specialist, he doesn't really do that well around. Either he doesn't do well on Sombra, or we don't play around Sombra very well. Either or, he hasn't looked like a really promising signing either. So I think you got to separate the wheat from the wheat from the chaff here, and start calling the underperformers, as well as just actually get an actual coach. Someone who has proven themselves to be able to work with talent and to put the talent to the next level and work with maybe some difficult heads. Because it seems that the Spitfire, especially with their record of like losing head coaches, they seem like a fairly dramatic bunch off stage. So you'd probably have to deal with perhaps some diva issues. And I think that you just need someone to just come in and just whip into shape and say like, okay, look, I say jump, you say how high, this is how we're going to do things. I don't want any back talk or anything.
Yeah, it seems like they kind of need someone to come in and help rebuild the roster, and if not a rebuild, they need someone to come in and keep everyone in line.
Exactly, and that'll just happen in time. We'll have to judge how London handles things as the off season develops. I'm hoping that Cloud9 has enough money to make such a decision, and to make the right moves. It seems like with C9, whenever there's a team that's struggling, they put all of their resources and they kind of laser focus on this one team, but then all their other teams kind of suffer a bit because they're trying so hard to like with the CS:GO issue, they were trying for so long to get that down to a good enough point where they could be happy with it. It could be a similar thing for Overwatch where they have to put the spotlight back on Overwatch and really put a bunch of resources into it. But I'm hoping that if not, them actually doing well in playoffs, which is doubtful, but hopefully between like now and season 3, we get some positive changes and a raring to go with Spitfire again.
Oh yeah. Luckily, we do have an off week to prepare, but we've had all season to practice and get better, and I feel like it hasn't really happened. Even though we've been picking a win and such, it hasn't been a convincing year to convince us that this is the team to take us forward. So
yeah, exactly.
So I'm with you on all of that, but we have another week to playoffs because they're doing Homestead games this weekend, right?
Yes, the LA Valiant is hosting the next Homestead.
All right,
and it should be pretty fun.
That's not far. They play in San Jose or Anaheim?
I think it's Anaheim.
Yeah, so just a short trip, but a good test to see how it's going to work out.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is pretty sweet. But do you have more to add?
No, I don't have more to add. Also, hold on. Can you wait like 1 second? My throat's actually really dry. I need to get some water.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
Nope, you're fine.
All right. Yeah, I don't have anything to say, so we can move on to League of Legends now. Your favorite topic.
Okay, yeah. I guess maybe we should talk about semifinals before I start rambling and shit. Crap.
Yes.
I was trying not to swear this episode.
Okay.
You
hacked up.
So let's talk about semifinals. As I said last week, I was actually camping all weekend, so I didn't get to catch quite as much as I wanted. But after we did tubing down a river, my friends were hungover already from tubing, so they all took a nap, and I watched the end of game 3, most of game 4, and nearly all of game 5 while they napped. So I actually got to watch a decent amount. So I'm ready. So
all right.
take me off.
Do you want to talk about the Cloud9 match first or the Team Liquid match first?
Cloud9 first.
Okay, perfect. So the Cloud9 match was actually really interesting. I was nervous coming in because CLG did have sort of like an extra game. It kind of was balanced out in that CLG had an extra game to play on stage versus C9 having an extra week to really study CLG. But I think the extra week turned out to actually be in our favor because C9 seemed to know exactly what CLG wanted to do. They banned out Corki and Azir to make sure that Power of Evil didn't get it, and they really made a point to abuse Wiggly's inexperience versus Svenskaren's experience. And for the most part, C9, I think, played a very clean game. There were mistakes, of course, but
yeah,
game
3 was unideal.
Game 3, I was pissed about game 3. I think games 1 and 2 that were brilliant. The team was playing like so cohesively, and it seemed like they knew exactly what to do at exactly like every single moment, and they were knowing how to rotate like exactly and at the right time, knowing when to pressure Wiggly and how to keep them on the back foot draft wise and how to play and everything. And it was so great to see the team just firing on all cylinders, like not just collectively, but like as individuals, they were playing fairly well.
Oh yeah, and Niski got his Kiana came in and played really well. Our our bot lane played pretty good, all things considered. I thought what was really cool was Zazel in an interview afterwards said that they purposely baited CLG into not picking in engage support.
Mm.
So they were able to dictate the tempo of the mid game and late game. I believe it was game 4 when Biofrost picked Morgana.
Yeah.
They baited them into picking Morgana, who's a more of a lane bully kind of thing, and let them quote unquote win bot lane, but at the expense of their mid and late game. And Cloud9 really did a really good job exploiting it too.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the draft was some of the smartest drafting I've seen. It was just like Reaper and Rainover, interestingly enough, instead of Rapid Star being the second coach, Rainover was the second coach. And I'm not sure how much he was helping in the draft, but I think his presence definitely helped. But it seemed that the team just read CLG like a book in terms of what they wanted, how they were going to play, who they were going to play around, and just execute some really good comps. Game 3 was very frustrating to me, though. Like, you should not be losing with a Fed Draven and a Fed Aatrox. Like, that game should have been done.
Yeah.
I think C9's mistakes in, like, face-checking jungle brushes against a Kiana, that's just foolish. You know, I think to leave Kiana open, I think is also a bit foolish, just because, like, currently she is, like, the most overpowered character in the game, I think, with how her abilities work. I think it's not really an excuse to give the other team such a powerful pick. Granted, they did, for like 3/4 of the game, play around Power of Evil's Kiana fairly well, but I think that constantly checking the brush and picking bad fights, they just kept giving CLG free gold, and eventually it was to a point where CLG, I think, actually had more experience than Cloud9 did, and it was just a simple, you know, you're to a point where you can't overtake them.
Yeah, it was kind of inexcusable how all that went down, but they did come back in game 4 and control pretty much the whole game. So their experience showed on stage, and I was super impressed with how they played 80% of the throughout all 4 games. It was just that lapsing concentration throughout the mid and late game in game 3. So
yeah, for sure.
All things considered, I think it puts us in a good spot for this weekend, because do you have anything else to add? If not, I'm going to transition.
I just wanted to point out that C9's mental game is very good. If you can completely throw serious point with a Fed Draven and then suffer massive losses in game 4, but then with some really smart flanks and mental resetting, completely turn the tables on CLG and win game 4, I think is some pretty great mental fortitude. And I think that C9 definitely did. They not only did they deserve to be in the finals, but I think they've more than earned their world spot.
Oh, definitely. I actually totally forgot to talk about Niski's flanks in game 4, because that was
they were so smart.
Yeah, that was the difference between winning and losing that game. Because if Niski it wasn't playing so smartly, then we easily could have lost that game also.
Yeah, for sure.
But if we want to talk about winning and losing games, our opponents in the finals, Team Liquid, lost a couple of games against Clutch Gaming, who might have looked a lot stronger than most of us anticipated, honestly. I thought they looked really good outside of their game 5, where it was a little wonky how they drafted, but I don't think it was wrong.
No, I think that Clutch was definitely playing to the conditions that they wanted to and playing around who they wanted. I I think I was certainly surprised that they were able to take it to 5 games. I think that Team Liquid definitely underestimated Clutch's playing ability, and I think that also Clutch, I think, really super prepared for Team Liquid, and it showed. Team Liquid was actually struggling with a lot of their games. I think even in the last game 5, there were a few points where they were kind of struggling to make plays or do some stuff. So it was really interesting to see Team Liquid in this place of like, really struggling to try to take control of a series and to dictate what they want to do. And it was really interesting seeing sort of a back and forth between Team Liquid and Clutch.
Oh yeah, and you could tell that they all kind of lost their mental game at some points in time. So it doesn't seem like the juggernaut that we're used to out of Team Liquid, that they actually looked beatable this past weekend.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think another factor was that whichever team got Kiana, it seemed to be like the team that won. So it's like, I wonder why you're winning. Is it because you're having this super strong champion? But I was definitely surprised, and it was a fun match too. I think just seeing it go to 5 games and just being like, oh geez, I wonder who's going to win. Who did you want to win, by the way? I personally wanted
Clutch.
I wanted Team Liquid because Team Liquid meant we automatically get a bye. We get a pass to Worlds, and we wouldn't have to worry about the gauntlet again.
Yeah, but we could have gone as first seed. Right, yes, we still can, but I think our odds against Clutch were higher than against Team Liquid.
I suppose so.
Must feel good. I will say that.
So I was wanting Team Liquid to win because them winning meant that us going to Worlds was a sure thing versus leaving it up to chance a little bit and saying like, well, if Clutch beat Team Liquid, can we beat Clutch? And then that's a whole thing. So I would take a Team Liquid that looks beatable into finals plus a free slot at Worlds versus potentially us still having to go through the gauntlet and having to beat Clutch to win the whole thing. I just like safer bets.
If we got into the gauntlet, aka the Cloud9
the Cloud9 Invitational.
Yeah. What's the difference? We don't lose there, so we would have been at the top boss. So
that's true. I just don't like to leave things up to chance. There's always a percentage that C9 does lose in the gauntlet or does lose to Clutch. And then we don't go to Worlds at all, and then everyone would be upset. Versus we have a sure thing now. If we get second place, who cares? Second place is...
That's true.
Second place is probably just as good as winning a domestic championship in North America. That's
not true, but...
So I'm trying to think of it through the grand scheme of things, like winning in North America, how worth is that versus competing well at Worlds and being the better team internationally?
I mean,
and we have this debate. I think I feel like we have this debate every Worlds too.
Yeah, I kind of want to win a split, but
no, I mean I do too.
Who do you think? I think that this is a debate for next week too.
Yes.
Because we do have a lot to cover still. Is that okay?
Oh no, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. So before we talk about finals, there's a game on Saturday between Clutch and CLG. Who do you think wins that, and is that who you want to win?
That's such an interesting question because both teams, I think, did play fairly well in the semifinals, and both teams definitely deserve to play for third place. I kind of want Clutch to win because they showed a lot of really good determination. And I really am starting to really like Demonte, and not only how he plays, but also just his camaraderie within the team. He seems very attached to his teammates, and when Hooney was super sad that he lost to Team Liquid, Demonte was over there consoling him and trying to cheer him up and everything. And I think stuff like that is just really touching to me, that you have someone that's so bought into a team that they're kind of just like, it makes you want to root for them. So I want Clutch to win, and I think Clutch can win just because the synergy between Huni and Demonte is good, and Clutch has actually been playing fairly well, from the last like few weeks or so. So, yeah.
And Lyra looks really good right now. So
Yeah, he's actually using his thinky brain.
Yeah. I am not the biggest Huni fan just because I don't know, it's just a long-standing thing. But I love the fact that he plays a Rumble because that is my favorite professional champion to watch. So I can't not cheer for a Rumble. So I'm going for Clutch, and I think Clutch is probably going to win still, though CLG is obviously a good team. But Lyra has been playing out of his mind. Demonte is at power of evil's level right now. Huni is playing really well, and Cody Sun looks good.
Cody's son is playing like probably his best that he's played, which I also really like, especially after he was done fairly dirty by 100 Thieves and that whole situation.
Mm-hmm. So
justice for Cody's son is definitely a plus.
Yeah, though a Wiggly is a Cloud9 product, so that would be kind of nice. But I think I'm going for Clutch here. So
yeah, I think I have to go for Clutch as well. Plus, they're owned by Dignitas, and that's sort of like Dignitas is coming back, once again to be in the LCS, which is, fairly neat.
Yeah, so I think that's who I got. But there is a more important game on Sunday. Cloud9 tees off against Team Liquid at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, the home of the Pistons and Red Wings. So that's where I'll be. How are you feeling about this game?
Buy your tickets for the whole seat, but you'll only need the air.
Something like that.
I'm really excited about it.
Also true. Yeah, me too.
Just because Team Liquid has like playing against Clutch, they looked very beatable. Team Liquid was struggling in some points. It could be that they maybe overestimated Clutch. It could be that they were just having some like really, like issues for the games. But I think that Team Liquid's beatable. We've beaten them twice in the regular season, so I think it's definitely possible. I think it's going to matter which lanes we play to and how we draft. I could definitely see us playing around bottom lane more. We've been doing that a little bit, especially if we give us something like Caitlyn. I think the only thing is that we need to not give Zeyzal something like Morgana or Lux, because he is as good as he is at shot calling, as good as he is at playing support. The boy cannot hit skill shots, and I don't know how many times in Game 3 he was missing Morgana Qs left and right, and I think in games like that, you just can't just be whiffing that much. And I think with his issues with accuracy, I think I'd rather us see him play like a Thresh or a Rakan or an Alistar, something that's a bit more engaging, and something is like he picks a target and he goes in on, and then everyone can just follow him, rather than a Lux or a Morgana where it's like, oh, I have to pay attention who I'm shielding and I have to do all this other stuff that's not Zeyzal's biggest strong point.
Yeah, he did look good on Morgana in that tiebreaker game with Caitlyn, but other than that, I think you're right about that. In a game we can squeak in Kiana would be good. I really wish that.
I think that might just be permanent. I honestly don't think.
I think so too. I really wish we could play Rumble, because I think he'd be super fun to watch right now. I think it'd be cool to see a cheeky Dr. Mundo, but that's probably not going to.
That may not happen.
Yeah, so I'm not expecting that, but I would like to see some Sona bans early on to try and get some wins that way. But if we can get a Caitlyn lane, then I think that we could start to try and push through it early on. So I think I know I feel like we say this every time, but I feel like drafting can be super fun to watch here, just due to the fact that the meta is wide open. You can pick carries in every lane and jungle. You can pick supportive champs in every role. You can play Karma top if you want. You can play a Tristana top. You can play Poppy. You can play Pike if you want to. You can play Caitlyn, Sivir, Ezreal, Draven. There's at least one more in there.
There's definitely a lot of options, and I think that's really great. I think also, just to even expound more upon that, just thinking about like the pocket picks, right? Like, do you really want to waste a banning Core JJ's Tom Kench, which he's known to be excellent at?
Yes, you do.
I think C9 would. Are they going to try to target Jensen a bit, since they know pretty intimately how Jensen likes to play and what Jensen likes to play? How much are they going to target Impact? And it's so interesting just because C9 has experience playing against these players so much. It's kind of like everyone kind of knows how each other plays fairly well, and it adds another layer to how do you how do you top the other guy.
Yeah, that's one thing to look out for too. I'm hoping Iniski has something up his sleeve. The Vygar was fun to watch against Jensen that one time, but I'm trying to think what another quirky little pocket pick could be this game. Maybe Swain bottom.
Maybe. I'm not sure if. I think I remember when the mage bottom things were a thing, and we were struggling to make that work. I'm not sure that Sneaky would go for that.
Yeah, most likely not. But
I think we'd mostly just give him Ezreal, and we would just play around mid lane and top lane with the more flexible picks, which is what we've been doing. We've mostly been flexing through mid and top lane, and then giving Sneaky a fairly safe, good pick like either Ezreal, Sivir, or Caitlyn.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's what he's going to be on most of the time, but we'll see how it goes. I feel like a lot of it is gonna be around vision control, just due to the fact that we do have a slippery team. I think it was against TSM that Licorice had a huge flank on Aatrox that won us the game.
Yeah, I think so.
That might have been last year or last split, but we came out really big there. Niski last week has some huge flanks. So if we can control where and how the fights are taking place, I think that's going to go a long way towards winning this game.
Yeah, I think that C9 definitely works well with setting up flanks, so I think that vision control would be good, as well as making sure that just Team Liquid doesn't get picks that allow them to do the same. If you can control how their team works from draft, then you can make playing the game, potentially a lot easier. So I'm just super excited to see like how exactly the teams play and like how we draft and everything.
Yeah. So what's your final prediction for this weekend before I take us off topic?
I don't even know if I can call it. I'm gonna go C9 wins 3-2.
I like it. I don't think that's the worst prediction. I feel like saying 3-2 is kind of a cop out, because not that many series actually do finish 3-2. So that's where it's kind of weird.
I like cop outs, Frozen. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's what everyone says when they're like, "Oh, I don't know. It's at least a 60-40 game. I'll just say 3-2 because that's a 60-40 game." Basically.
Exactly. That's why I say 3-2.
But I wouldn't mind that, although I do have to drive home afterwards, and it is
on a Sunday.
Yeah, so it would be over at 9:00. I wouldn't be home until probably 11:30 that night. So I'm hoping for just a quick 3-0, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a slugfest.
Oh yeah, for sure.
A 5 games, so I can skip at the gym on Monday, so it's not a huge deal.
Yeah, I can use the gym. Your body is temporary. Winning a championship is forever.
Yes, exactly. So as long as we win, that is okay with me. But yeah, let's go to Detroit. Let's talk about the Cloud9 community. I've seen a couple questions about Detroit. I've seen people start posting their things that they're bringing to Detroit. My first thing is a shout out to TCD for life. He made a Cloud9 hockey jersey based off of the Boston Bruins hockey jersey, which looks dope as fuck. If you are a hockey fan, or if not, the Red Wings are part of the original 6 hockey teams from the NHL. It was probably not called the NHL back then, but that's kind of a big deal because Boston was 2, I believe. I think it was like Boston. I don't want to sound like an idiot, but there were 4 more teams, I think. Obviously, of the original 6. So that hockey jersey looks dope. Look for that on the subreddit. If you are traveling to Detroit this weekend, I could talk about this forever just because I love Detroit. I don't live there, but my girlfriend does. And once I find a job down there, I will live there because it is an amazing city that is coming back from a really tough recession, and a lot more than just that in the past couple of decades. I've been going to Detroit since I was a kid, and it has changed so much. So everybody going, you'll be completely safe. Just follow all of the rules that you would in any other big city. Yeah, big city. Don't walk in unlit areas. Try not to go into alleys unless you're going to this one specific bar that I can't remember what it's called. But unless you're looking to spend $50 on a drink, you don't need to go there anyway. But Midtown, downtown, and Greektown are all perfectly safe. So I have a feeling anybody coming from out of town will probably just be staying downtown. That's a short walk to the arena, so you'll be fine. Oh man, food, drinks. I could probably go on forever, but I spend most of my time in Midtown just because that's where my girlfriend lives, and I have a ton of recommendations there. If you're not from Michigan, Founders Tap House is there, or Tap Room, I guess is technically called. Really good. Jolly Pumpkin, I think it's overrated, but that's beside the point. Atwater is decent, but Founders is where the best beer is, in my opinion. There are a ton of bars downtown. If you want something cool, Cafe Domagos is pretty sweet. Old Miami, if you're in Midtown. If you're downtown, I would recommend blinking on the name, but it's right by the Belt, which is like an alley that is a safe alley too. There's a ton of bars. There's an arcade blacklight bar in there. It's in a basement. It's called Deluxe Flux. That place is sweet.
There's so much stuff to do.
Yeah,
this is honestly amazing.
What you would expect. If you're coming in town early, there's a Lions game on Friday. Tickets are $10 if you buy them from a secondhand seller. I mean, I could go on forever. If you're looking to travel around the city a little bit, Mexican Town is pretty cool for food. There's a lot of Mexican places there. I posted a link to our Detroit guide in the subreddit, so you can look there, ask any questions you have, and I can probably answer them. I've been to a decent amount of the places that are listed here, but not quite all of them. I will highly recommend 2 more things. If you want ramen, there is one above the Greektown Casino called a Noodle Art. Great ramen, possibly the best in the city, even though that's not the place that our local papers recommend. And Buddy's Pizza, that's like the OG Detroit style pizza, and I guarantee it is the best a pizza for miles. And by miles, I mean it's better than Chicago style and New York style. So, and I'll fight anybody who says otherwise. So
I do have a question, Frozen. Isn't recreational marijuana also legal in Michigan?
yes, it's legal, but there are no places to purchase it.
Ah, that's the rub.
So not at the moment. You won't be able to buy your weed at a store until maybe mid next year at the latest.
Heckin'
Maybe
bamboozled.
December at the earliest. But you can have weed. You can smoke in private areas. If you can find a porch, you can smoke your marijuana there if you want. But you cannot buy it at a store. So
Okay. I thought that would be a good detail to mention for anyone going to Detroit.
Yeah, so you cannot buy it, but you can have it. So you can carry up to a certain amount that you probably cannot fit inside your pocket. So I highly recommend that. A couple of more things. If you're willing to travel to Dearborn, there's an amazing coffee shop there called Kawa House, Qahwah House. It's a Yemeni coffee shop, which is Yemeni coffee is considered the most like expensive coffee in the world, and it's like impossible to find outside of a few places. And Dearborn is one of them. It's a suburb of Detroit. You can drive there in 15 minutes from downtown, I think. It's Yemeni style coffee, so it's not just traditional like pour over or something. It's more intense than that. I highly recommend that. So, I mean, I could go on for quite a while. If you want Polish food, Polish Village Cafe is amazing. That's in Hamtramck, which is a city in Detroit, built kind of like the Vatican is in Rome, where it's just a city inside of a country, but it's just a city inside of a city, which is sweet. If you're looking for something to do Saturday night, there's a Carly Rae Jepsen dance party at a club in Mexican Town. I might be there, so you can look for me there. I'm hoping to be there at least. So,
are you going to tell them that you just met them and this is crazy, but here's my number, call me maybe?
If any of you message me for my phone number, I might give it to you. So yes.
Well, it sounds like Detroit is just bustling with activity, Frozen. I hope that anyone...
You'd be surprised.
I hope that anyone going for the finals has a super good time. I know you're super excited. We're going to have some boots on the ground coverage for us this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've been talking about it since they picked it, but I am excited. I really just don't have a ton to say just anymore. But if you ask for recommendations, I can hook you up because I have a lot of opinions and such about the city. I can send you good places, but just enjoy your time. Be smart, like you would in any other big city. I'm hoping to see a lot of people down there just because it's an LCA and it is a big place. So I'm hoping it's full.
I'm mostly curious on how
I want to see.
I'm mostly curious on just how the event will be. Like I've never been to like a live esports event. I've always just watched it from like my computer. So just to see, being with fans and seeing a match like right there live is will definitely be really interesting.
Oh yeah, I watched CS:GO Cloud9 play at DreamHack Denver last year, 2 years ago at this point. Ooh, I'm getting old. But that was a blast. I expect this to be 10 times better just because it's all LCS in one place. So last thing, because this is actually Cloud9 related, they are having the Fan Fest Saturday at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. I might not actually make that. There's a soccer game at noon or 12:30 that I want to watch, and my friend who is coming from Lansing might not be in before it ends, but I'm hoping to be there on Sunday for the Fan Fest. If you're going on Sunday, hit me up. I can hang out for a bit. I'll have a friend with me, maybe, but Should
I
be
think
fun.
I think for the fan fest you can also get some pretty sick merch and just
Yeah,
have a good
I need to
time.
buy it.
So it
Yeah,
should
I'm
just
planning on
be
buying it again.
oh yeah for sure. It should be a super fun time. I'm jealous that I can't go.
Yeah, it would have been a relatively cheap flight, I think. Maybe.
I think I probably could have gone, but it's a thing of with my job I can't really like go anywhere most of the
Oh
time
yeah.
because it's a thing of like when I'm on shift I can't leave, and even when I'm off shift there's always a threat of someone calling to cover in because something happened, and you have to find someone to cover for you for a
Oh
shift or
yeah.
something. And if like if it's on like a weekend or something it might be fine, but if it's a thing of like unexpectedly like yeah you're kind of the only one that can do it, and you know it's kind of that thing. It really sucks, but plus I kind of forgot that like how my schedule works. If I want to like do something I have to plan it super far in advance. So
Oh yeah, that sucks.
yeah, so like I didn't know that like like the finals would be on like a week where I didn't have to be on shift, and so it's kind of a thing of like oh well I kind of missed it.
Yeah, that sucks. But I'm hoping that they'll bring something to the South next year. I think that's their last place to go. So Atlanta, that's so
Esports
kind
events
of
always
far.
avoid esports always avoids the South. I
Yeah,
think mostly because there's just not a lot of areas where you can really go. Like you can go to Atlanta. I think maybe also Tampa is a place, like some places in Florida, but like where else do you have? You know, you could maybe go to like Nashville, but I'm not sure how big the esports community is there. And then it's like, oh well, we could go to Alabama, and it's just like, why would you go to Alabama?
yeah. Sorry.
You know,
No offense.
as much as I would love to have my home state host like a League of Legends event or like an Overwatch League championship or something of that magnitude, I don't think it'll ever happen.
I mean, I said that same thing. I think I actually said that on the podcast at least once or twice. So I never
You may
expected
have.
to see them here in Detroit for finals, but Dan Gilbert has his ways, I guess. He's the one who owns Quicken Loans, which is Rocket Mortgage, which is a sponsor for the event.
Oh
You've
yeah,
obviously seen
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Okay,
So
I didn't know that Quicken owned Rocket Mortgage.
yes. I'm not going to give opinions about that stuff, but I will say I am grateful for him getting it here because I have to imagine him and Quicken Loans and Rocket and Mortgage are the only reason that they're here.
Oh, I would imagine so for sure.
So it's pretty sweet. I mean, I didn't expect this. I thought they would go to Cleveland or Cincinnati first.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Like there's a ton of other major cities that they can still hit up that they have
yeah,
not been to yet.
Minneapolis. There's a ton of stuff that they could go to, but I'm
Yeah,
glad they picked
they could
Detroit.
go to like Seattle or like yeah.
Yeah, but they picked Detroit this time, so I'm taking it in. I got tickets for both days, decent seats. So I'll have pictures. I'll do my best to share them next week, just because I can, and I
Oh
will
yes, please.
hopefully be smiling through next Wednesday when we record.
Yes, please please take pictures and please like tweet as much as you can because I really want to see like the adventures and whatnot unfold through your eyes.
Yeah, I might not tweet too much just because my phone battery sucks, but
Uh
I will take photos and such just because it is a, a really cool experience, and I'll try to ramble a little bit less next week, but I can't promise that.
all right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing all about it, Frozen.
1 second, just because I forgot got the name of it. Punchbowl Social is the place that's by the belt I was talking about. So that, yeah, that's actually a chain apparently, but it is pretty sweet. There's a bowling alley there. It's small. It's kind of expensive, but yeah. So I actually would recommend going there to drink and stuff. Then you can go to the belt afterwards, go to the Skip or to Deluxe Flex. But either way, have fun. DM me, comment on the podcast, ask questions in Reddit. I'll be answering through Friday, maybe even Saturday morning. I feel like this is my chance to give Detroit a good name because it really is an awesome city. And I would also, last thing, I swear to God, this time, Detroit has some of like the best architecture in the country. So if you do get a chance, check out some of our landmark buildings. You probably can't get into the Fox, but the Fox is absolutely gorgeous. You can get into the Detroit Library in Midtown. You can get into the Detroit Institute of Art in Midtown. They're right next to each other. No, not quite. They're a couple blocks away, but it's walkable. The Guardian Building is beautiful. The Fisher Building is beautiful. Check out Hart Plaza, the Spirit of Detroit, which is something you have probably seen if you watch sports broadcasts. It's like the God statue, like him holding planets up or some shit. Hart Plaza is where the Fist of Joe Louis is. I'm assuming we'll see a ton of those photos from Cloud9 coming out tomorrow, just because they're flying to Detroit right now. So I'm curious to where they're staying, but I'm sure there will be rumors going around. But I'm done. I'll answer questions anywhere they're posted in the subreddit.
All right. Well, awesome. I have nothing else to add. So if you don't have anything, Frozen, I think we can sign off for now.
I could probably come up with something, but for the sake of everyone else,
Yeah,
I'm already manic and anxious and such for this weekend. So I'm trying to hold back some excitement, but it's tough.
Yeah, I think for the sake of time, I think we should probably cut it here.
Yeah, I can make a whole half episode about this, but I'm not going to. I have a life to live, so and laundry to fold, so I'm gonna go do that. So thank you.
All right.
For
well,
letting me rant and ramble.
Oh yeah, no problem. Well, for those at home, you can always follow us at C9 Bodied on Twitter, and see what we're all of our thoughts and opinions, and what's currently going on, and hit us up if you want, and definitely follow us for Frozen's exciting weekend in Detroit, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Hopefully we are back here next week, ranting and rambling about who knows what. So good luck, boys. Let's go.
All right. Good luck, team.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.